Let's get ready for our next shortcut quilt called Star Cakes. It looks finicky, but I've got lots of tricks up my sleeve to make this fast and easy. You just need one Moda print and solid layer cake along with a background fabric. And today we're using the Varsity collection, which makes this quilt a total home run. So let's see what's first up to bat. Our first step is to take a solid layer cake and a print layer cake and layer them right sides together. And then we're going to pin as shown so that when we stitch, everything stays in place. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a 9.5 inch square by using a Creative Grids 9.5 inch squared up ruler. The reason we're doing this is when you start with the layer cake, it's not exactly even, and this is going to give you perfect squares when you make your half square triangles. And by cutting with the fabrics right sides together, that is going to keep them perfectly even for the next step. Now we're going to draw a line from corner to corner with a Frixion pen. I'm using a Frixion pen since the ink will disappear with heat later. Then you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch away on both sides of the drawn line. I'm using black thread here just so you can see my stitches, but I normally would use color 2000, which is what I use on most of my quilts. Make 40 of these units, and now we're going to subcut these into quarters. We're going to use the 4 3/4 inch line on your Creative Grids ruler, and I actually line up the side as well as the top, and you're going to see that it's perfectly going to intersect here. And because we subcut these down to an exact size before and pin them, everything should come out perfectly. So we're going to cut here. We're going to rotate our mat, and since it's a rotating mat, nothing moves. And we're also going to do the same thing with 4 3/4 inches. Now we've got 160 squares, but we're also going to cut on the diagonal to have 320 half square triangles. And now I'm going to show you how to press these open. So first you're going to set your seam by just going flat. Then you're going to press to one side. Then what I like to do is let it cool for a little bit, and then we're going to press open. That way you don't burn your fingers. So once it's cool, you just flip it over. Just open it with your fingers. And I like to just press it all the way with my fingers and then just push the iron along the edge. And then I always like to iron the top so it's nice and flat. And at this point I'm going to use some starch, get it nice and wet, starch it, and it's going to be nice and stiff for our next step. Now we're going to start assembling our Star Cakes block. Lay out your half square triangles just like this. You're going to sew down one seam, press to the right on the top, and press towards the left on the bottom. Sew together this seam and press to the bottom. By doing that, on the next step, all your seams are going to nest, and I always use pins when I'm sewing my blocks. Now lay out your units, really paying attention to the placement. You're going to see a nice pinwheel in the center. You're going to stitch the same way. Stitch all the way down, press the top to the right and the bottom to the left. Stitch your center seam and press to the bottom. You're going to make a total of 20 Star Cakes blocks. Now we're going to start assembling our quilt. Assemble 4 blocks and 3 sashing rectangles. Press toward the sashing, make 5. Assemble these rows with 4 fabric D strips and your quilt center is finished. Attach your side borders, press. Attach your top and bottom borders and press. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you love this Star Cakes quilt as much as I do. I love that this shortcut quilt makes a twin size and it's perfect for that special fan in your life.